Safe to say, if this episode didn't happen, I wouldn't be the digital circus fan I am today. This video is sponsored by you. Feel free to comment the phrase of the day, which is justice for fudge. Hi, I'm Steve. Welcome to the only channel dedicated to the decopunk aesthetic. For those of you who have been keeping tabs on my channel, I've been posting a lot about the digital circus, and that's gonna keep happening until I finally review episode 9. No, I'm not seeking the leaks. No, I'm not whining to Glitch or Gooseworks, nor am I refunding my movie ticket. And I know I don't have those toxic fans in my community, right? Anyway, episode 2. I started getting into TADC a day after this one came out because I saw a Jack's music video and I thought it'd be like a messed up psycho horror like Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared, which is what convinced me to give it a try. And I started with episode 1, which I've already done a video for, but since those videos have been doing better than my others, I wanted to review other episodes while there's still anticipation for the finale. So here's my 2 cents on Candy Carrier Chaos. So grab a drink, make yourselves uncomfortable, and let's get into this thing. The episode starts out with Pomni dreaming about abstracting before jolting awake and hilariously introducing us to GTA collision physics. I still remember watching I Am Wildcat and Vanoss and the rest of the crew abusing these physics back in 2014. I've never seen someone so disappointed to see a door. Ragatha stops by for a visit and takes Pomni over to the main stage for the adventure reveal gathering. As for the interaction, I don't really have an opinion one way or another about it. Ragatha tries to reassure Pomni that, hey, remember when you ditched me for the exit while I was glitching in pain? Yeah, don't worry, I'm fine, and I totally understand what was going through your head. Meanwhile, Pomni's just on another wavelength. You can see the gears turning, that she's trying to process that she's trapped here while not listening to who's talking to her. Kinda like what happens to me when I tell an anime superfan I have a mild interest in their hobby. Again, I don't have any thoughts on this. Yes, it's a guilt trip, but at the same time, no it's not because it's not intentional. Ragatha's just trying to make a friend the only way she knows how. I personally don't trust people like this, but that's not what I want to talk about. I just want to get to the adventure of the day, which is Candy Carrier Chaos. The title of the episode.
The Candy Canyon Kingdom's been robbed of their most valuable resource, maple syrup!
For some reason, I thought it was gonna be sugar or molasses, but maple syrup's fine. I know it's used in some candies, but then Kane says,
It's up to you to bring the rotten bandits who stole it to sweet, buttery justice!
Isn't that the way you would describe pancakes? Or waffles? The plot thickens. Maybe to him, flapjacks qualify as candy, I don't know.
Very sticky indeed.
Sounds
Bubble, you can't say that.
What did that clanker just say? What's going through my head is Bubble quoting Def Leppard saying he's so hot, sticky sweet. It's clearly a jizz joke, we can move on. Zooble decides this isn't worth her time, despite the fact that Kane added a new AI program to this adventure, making it, and I quote, 57 times more immersive, which I figured was a weird detail considering we don't have much experience with any of the previous AIs apart from the Gloink Queen and her little Gloinky babies, or whatever the hell those things are. Katamari Damacy freaks. But this episode would show me, and boy did it show me, what Kane meant. Pomni clocks that their reasoning for existing in this world is just LARPing, making Kane nervous that she's catching on, so he railroads everyone into his hole. There has to be a better way I could have written that. Next thing we know, we're being carted to Mars by a giant gummy elephant. So at this point, are we not going to address the pink elephant in the room? You know, the forbidden pink elephant that we're always told to never think about? Once inside the kingdom, Ragatha's impressed, Kinger is hyped up seeing candy bugs. Oh, and hey, Gangle finally has her—
It's the princess!
Her mask gets busted by an overenthusiastic purple puppet. Which I don't even have a joke for, it's actually that stupid. Also, was that guy choking a dude in the background? Out comes the princess to greet our heroes and hold up, that's not bubblegum. Before me stands a belle with a watermelon gummy bob haircut and a dress made of, I don't know, pink sauce? That's a candy, right? She points out Cain as God, which sent me. I had a good chuckle at that one. And it's basically like, the bandits used a tanker to steal our kingdom's syrup. So here's an 18-wheeler, go Mad Max this shit. Also, has anyone noticed this kingdom has a kink for killing each other? And the way they drive this truck out of the fortress just rubs me the wrong way. Like, they start driving and turning from one side, and then the screen cuts and they turn from the other side, and there wasn't enough room to pivot, so more people got run over after the screen cut to the tanker leaving the drawbridge. I don't get it. That's pretty much my only and biggest critique of this entire episode. Everything else is just gonna be jokes at this point. Now we meet our bad guys, 3 gummy alligators. And yes, they're Aussies. Who gives us the backstory of what they need the syrup for, which I think is a very cartoony and on-brand way of serving us exposition. Cain doesn't understand humans or what they want very well, but he can create a pretty accurate class war scenario. And I just find that fucking funny. Inside the circus truck, Jax goes over his attack plans with a shotgun. And yes, it's standard Waffle House issue, can confirm. Gangle gives some disapproving commentary, and this is more or less a series of jabs Jax takes at Gangle's expense, which is the start of where half the fandom develops a real hatred for this belligerent bunny. I'm not a fan either, like I'm not wishing abstraction on him or anything, he mostly just annoys me to the point where I just kinda ignore him. The actual battle sequence starts by Jax tossing Pomni out between the 2 big trucks as a means to use her as a bridge and shoot down the bandits' truck with a bootzuka. No, I'm not kidding. This is the part of the show where I would make a fisting joke, but I've already done that for my One Piece TikTok, so you pretty much get the gist. Kinger, my boy, tries to help by tossing Pomni a lifesaver that isn't attached to anything, doesn't do anything on dry land, and just ends up bouncing off of her head. I love you anyway, Kinger, at least you're trying, buddy. Pomni's grip slips and she slings to the roof of the bandit's truck. The small gator thinks he has the one-up until he realizes his arms aren't long enough. Yeah, I'm just not sure how well this plan was thought through. And then he gets the senses knocked into him from the bootzuka and parasails with the truck, using the lifesaver Kinger tossed. His arm seemed long enough to cling to that candy rope without problems, just saying. The gators try to lose their pursuers on the rocky road. Get it? 'Cause Rocky Road ice cream. The jokes write themselves. The driver gator's arms aren't short enough to shift the gear, and we've shifted to the other end of the spectrum of having arm problems. The lead gator does it for him, and they change course. Meanwhile, the short gator is having the time of his life playing Friday Night Funkin'. Jax orders Gangle to follow them with this exchange, which is strike 2 for Gangle abuse. Also, a lot of people pointed out that Jax's head was gyroscopically stable for this sequence, so I thought that was pretty funny. There's also a moment when the lead gator looks out to see the circus truck still following them and the driver chins him. I thought that was worth calling attention to. So great, this rocky road has all the nuts driving on it. If anyone is wondering how mortal wounds work in the digital world, this scene kinda gives us our answer. There's a kitchen cleaver in the back seat of a tanker. Why? Also, this is my favorite Kinger scene.
Everyone all right?
Can you repeat the question? I couldn't hear you over the knives.
Jax persuades Gangle to ram the bandit truck with blackmail. And it honestly sounds pretty solid. What did Gangle do with that anime figure? What the hell were you up to, girly pop? What was the figure up to? I have a lot of questions, and I don't want any answers. Gangle stops ramming after the bandits spike their vehicle, with actual spikes, and Kinger tries to save Pomni again by tossing her an anchor. Cleavers, 2 sets of knives, an anchor, If there's baby oil in there, I'll be convinced that's just Diddy's old truck. Kinger can't remember if the anchor was attached to anything, which it was attached to the truck. So what you think happened, definitely happened. Oh, would you look at that? She's been impaled. The trucks get intertwined, sending the circus tanker careening into the gorge, and the bandit truck that Pomni's still on is swerving out of control onto a nearby rock formation, and then Gary's mod happens, clipping both Pomni and the lead Gator Bandit under the map and into the developer's storage corner, where Gator Boy has a serious existential moment, quickly followed by an "oh, you're here too" moment. You are now leaving the funny haha shenanigans territory and heading straight for serious existential crisis territory. It's like watching a Tyler Perry film. It gets pretty deep when Gator Boy starts realizing he's just a character, wondering why none of the other people in his life are displayed, and why he can't remember his mom's face. You know, the mom who's in serious medical need of syrup, which is the whole reason he stole it in the first place. Yeah, I'm not going to go too deep into the symbolism of existentialism, cause I'd lose what few marbles I have left. So Pomni more or less explains what's going on, and what the character models are for. Remember when Kane said he programmed a new AI for this adventure? Yeah, we found out just how sophisticated it is. Meanwhile, back in happy, silly Adventureland, the other 4 circus members are afloat in a river of chocolate, which I originally thought was blood when I saw it in the music video I mentioned earlier, but I digest. If you're expecting me to make a Wonka joke, no need, Jax already took care of that. Holy shit, it's the La Brea Tar Pit monster. And he's got jawbreakers for eyes. Eddie would pay stingy money for that, just saying. This is Fudge. He used to be part of the Candy Kingdom until he got tossed out for eating the denizens of the kingdom, which gives me 2-tier justice system vibes because I've seen those candy citizens kill each other on multiple occasions. Of course, the brown guy's the only one that gets deported. There's also this gag where they keep pointing out Ragatha's hair looking like licorice, and Kinger tries to help by throwing a bucket over her head. Did I mention how much I love this derpy piece of wood? Jax offers to let the Fudge back into the kingdom if he helps wrangle up the bandits, which immediately gets mooted because the truck with the henchmen crashes right into the chocolate river next to them. Back in emotional breakdown town, Pomni, while looking for a way back up to the surface, tries to convince the Gator Bandit named GUMMIGOO to come with her back to the circus and join the crew. As for her plan to get back to the others, she uses the GTA exploit to launch themselves straight through the space of teapots and back to the Strait of Horchata. Speaking of which, we get this little interaction between Ragatha and Kinger, showing that Ragatha really wants to be friends with Pomni, and Kinger reassuring her that it just takes time to acclimate. And then he goes silly again. I like this, it gives us a little clue to what's ahead in episode 3. Wham! In comes Pomni and GUMMIGOO to save everyone from this massive fudge monster who really didn't pose much of a threat to begin with. Pomni gets reunited with her crew, GUMMIGOO with his, and Jax...
I'm so unbelievably disappointed right now.
He'll be fine. Kinger, in his derpy ways, finds that there's syrup in the duplicate tanker. So the two groups come up with an amicable agreement to give the extra tanker to the village and take the main one back to the kingdom. Pomni introduces GUMMIGOO to the others and that he'll be joining them back at the circus, so everybody goes home happy. Except Jax. Hold on, I'm getting a message. Turns out the fudge monster was still kicking and returned to the kingdom via the gate that Jax just happened to leave unlocked. So he got his chaotic happy ending after all. So, like I said, everyone goes home happy. I honestly thought it was going to be like a holodeck situation and GUMMIGOO was going to dematerialize as soon as he crossed the threshold. But he didn't, and I was kind of looking forward to seeing him get involved more with the circus. I did not, however, anticipate this.
So this is the circus, huh? I gotta get used to this.
Oh, looks like one of these guys made it through.
Wait, what?
It's kinda an indirect lore drop that Kane can't distinguish real humans from sophisticated AIs that he creates. so NPCs are not allowed to join the circus outside of the adventures they're made for. After this hope-shattering moment, the crew holds a funeral service for the character that abstracted in the last episode. Nobody really knows if abstraction equals death in the circus, but it's clear that once they're sent to the cellar, they're never seen or heard from again. Honestly tugs at my heartstrings. Funerals always tend to do that to me regardless if they're real or not. And that was Candy Carrier Chaos. As I mentioned before, this was the episode that hooked me into the amazing digital circus. The premise and characters are fun, the mystery is enticing, and the jokes are good. It's not the best thing ever, but it's entertaining. I know I literally laugh out loud every time Kane is on screen, and Kinger just makes the show for me. This was just the episode that made me say, okay, yeah, I want more of this, please. So, thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today and for watching, and I'll see y'all later, bye!